have a confession to make. I still have my orange Perfect Stormer cap, and I even wear it during Michigan cold winters. So, you guys remember a couple of years back when Judy Miller said that she had been proved fucking right on the Iraq War intelligence? You guys remember that? That was pretty funny, huh? We're about to hear from a guy who's been proved right over and over and over again. And not just on the Iraq War, but he was right on the Iraq War too. Obviously, one of the areas where he's been proved right is on campaign finance. Back in 2002, he and that other guy made some progress in trying to stave the money that is poisoning our democracy. And that worked for a little while, and then John Roberts and those activist justices guys started tampering. And if you need any lesson in what happens when more money starts pouring into politics, I think last year's election tells you, not just the Democratic Party in general, but with Feingold himself. The bankers dumped tons of money into his opponent's pockets. And you know who else did? The Koch brothers claimed to be libertarians, right? They spent between, Adam Serwer did this math, so he gets credit. They spent between them, their family members, their PAC, and who knows however else they've been dumping money into politics, they spent $25,000 to help defeat the biggest defender of civil liberties in Congress. So, proved right on campaign finance, bankers, right? In 1999, Russ Feingold was one of just 8 senators who said, with Graham Leach Bliley, he said, maybe it's not such a good idea to let the banks turn our entire economy into a casino. He was right. They were right. In 2008, he said, on the TARP vote, he said, maybe it's not a really good idea to give hundreds of billions of dollars to banks with no strings attached. In 2009, he was one of a few Democrats who decided, who thought maybe Timmy Geithner, who was one of the guys who got us into the mess, probably wasn't the guy to be leading Treasury to get us out of the mess. He probably still isn't the right guy to be leading us out of the mess. So Russ Feingold was proved right on money, right, on bankers and on finance. That doesn't bode well for us because he also voted against Dodd-Frank, believing that it didn't do enough to lead us back into the casino, and it's beginning to look like he was proved right on that as well. And then the last one, and obviously the big one, is civil liberties. 2001, just weeks after 9/11, at the same time is somebody from our own biowarfare program was sending anthrax to his colleagues in the Senate. Russ Feingold said, we don't need to start chipping away at civil liberties because we're afraid. And for much of the last decade, he's been trying to continue to fight that fight. There was a little minor bit of progress in 2006 after it was exposed that the administration had been illegally wiretapping all of us because we made the administration actually tell us how many times they were using these Patriot Act powers. And that's about as good as it's gotten. Here we are, 10 years after 9/11. We killed Osama bin Laden. After we did that, don't you think we could turn around and kind of reinstate the Fourth Amendment? Wouldn't it be nice? So instead of turning around and reinforcing the Fourth Amendment, let's look at what's happened since then. A, we re-upped the Patriot Act with none of the improvements that everyone knows we need. B, the FBI, Robert Mueller just got passed on, right? He's going to become FBI director for 2 more years. The only person who asked him any questions about the civil liberties abuses that the FBI has been in charge of, Al Franken. Everyone else, I'm sure if Russ Feingold were still in DOJ, they'd still be asking those questions. The other thing that we learned, one of the last things that Senator Feingold did was try and fight FBI's change in investigative guidelines. Because they made the move at the end of the Bush administration such that you could use First Amendment issues as one of the reasons you're going to go investigate somebody. So you could use somebody's political speech, you could use somebody's religion, and that was a reason to investigate them. Not only did FBI do that, but in the last couple weeks, they've come back. And they said, now we want to be able to investigate journalists if they are witness to a crime, like leaking, I assume. They want to be able to rifle through our trash cans so that they can force us to become informants. And they want to be able to do database searches of innocent Americans and not write down what kind of searches they're doing. And they say, don't worry, it's not going to be abused, but we're not going to keep any records of the abuses we're going to make. So 10 years ago, Russ Feingold warned us that we didn't need to chip away at civil liberties because you're going to keep chipping away. And there we are. We're still chipping away at our civil liberties. And each of these votes were both really, they showed incredible judgment. They also showed incredible courage. And he did things like this on a lot of different subjects as well: marriage equality, immigration rights, the death penalty. He's been fighting to get rid of the federal death penalty for a long time. But I do have one gripe with Russ Feingold. You see, I've come to every single Netroots Nation, 5 of them so far, right? And every year before Netroots Nation, we call up Feingold's office, we say, hey, he's one of us. Come on, bring him this year. He's a hippie, he really wants to go to Netroots Nation. 5 years, and Russ Feingold has not yet graced us with his presence, which is why I am so happy to be able to welcome Russ Feingold for the first time to Netroots Nation.